You guys, something horrible happened. I've been banned from the One Punch Man subreddit. I know, crazy, right? And I know what you're thinking, but Medium Beetle, you're so awesome and cool, and your videos are also so awesome and cool. Why would they do such a terrible thing? Well, thank you guys for the kind words. Your support is what keeps me going during these trying times, and without you, I would be absolutely nothing. So thank you. Now, why did I get kicked from Reddit? Well, to catch you up to speed, let me start from the beginning. Ever since I started making my own videos, I've been posting them to Reddit pages related to the topic. You know, bringing the videos directly to the audience who'd be interested. So I've been posting these videos to the One Punch Man subreddit for a while, and outside of a few negative comments and some downvotes, I haven't really faced that much backlash. Everything's been going pretty smoothly. But this last video seems to have really struck a nerve, and now I'm completely banned from posting on their page ever again. As much as I'd love to say that my ban wasn't justified, I hadn't read through their community guidelines until the ban occurred, and after reading through them, I'm sort of surprised they hadn't kicked me sooner. Rule 11 is be friendly, and my recent videos have not been very kind to the babies, who do unfortunately make up a decent chunk of the One Punch Man audience, or Murata. But it seems like I'm not the only person who hasn't read through the rules, because after posting my video to their page, I was immediately swarmed with backlash and downvotes. Most comments were either directed at attacking my video's credibility, or me as a person, and someone even went as far as to report my video to Daycare resources, insinuating that it was a cry for help, which did make me laugh to be fair, but at the same time felt sort of malicious. Many people were being unfriendly to me. It's like they completely forgot about Rule 11 of the One Punch Man Reddit Community Code of Conduct. So in this video, I'm going to go over some of the comments I received, and deconstruct some of the arguments that these babies often rely on when trying to discredit my opinions. I'm also going to do some self-reflection, and cover some people's criticisms of my channel that I think have some actual merit behind them. The first thing I want to do is address a valid critique of my content. It's something I've actually been meaning to address for a while now. Nikolai Tesla writes, "Criticism from a guy addicted to gore who only wants to see characters die. Who can take your criticism seriously? What a mid-channel." First off, of course it's a mid-channel. I'm Medium Beetle, you fucking idiot. As for your actual criticism, you'll probably be surprised to hear that I understand where you're coming from. I am an empath after all. Based on the videos I've made about One Punch Man, I can definitely see how someone could think that all I care about is gore and violence. And I can see how that could make it hard for someone to take my criticism seriously. The main reason I've covered the topics that I have is because death and gore is a component of One Punch Man that used to be much more prominent, and at this point in the manga, seems to have nearly vanished. I noticed a pattern of lessening stakes around the Monster Association arc, and didn't see any videos covering the topic, so I made my videos. Death and gore in a story is sort of like hot sauce on a sandwich. Not all sandwiches require hot sauce to be good, and depending on the contents of the sandwich, hot sauce can sometimes make it worse. And I don't want to be guzzling a bottle of hot sauce down my throat like a glass of orange juice. No. There's a reason I have no interest in watching something like Terrifier. Hot sauce is only one of the many ingredients that has the ability to add to the overall quality of a meal, just like death and gore in a story. But let me throw a scenario your way. Let's say there's a sandwich that this one deli makes, and I love that sandwich. And they have this banging hot sauce that complements the rest of the ingredients so well. Then one day, I order that same sandwich that I love so much, and bite into it, and there's no hot sauce. While the sandwich is still good, and I'm still gonna eat it and enjoy it to an extent, it feels incomplete. It feels like it's missing something. Naturally, I'm gonna go up to the deli guy and be like, "Hey man, what happened to the hot sauce?" And he says, "We don't have any hot sauce right now, whatever, that sucks." I move on with my day, no big deal. But this keeps happening every time I order this damn sandwich. So eventually I go up to the deli guy again, and I say, "Dude, where's the damn hot sauce, man? I've been waiting for weeks.
I need some of that damn hot sauce. No, I don't need it. I don't need it. But I really want it. I really want it on my sandwich again. I miss it. I miss it so, so dearly. And some customer next to me butts in and says they don't put hot sauce on their sandwiches. They never have. It's always been that way. Just because you're obsessed with hot sauce doesn't mean anything will change. You know what they say, if you don't like the sandwich, then make your own. Well, you're fucking wrong, because they definitely did have the hot sauce. I remember, because it was delicious. Number 2, I make my own fucking sandwiches all the time. I go to this deli because I can't make their sandwich the way that they do. It's undeniably unique and awesome. I have no problem with any of the other ingredients, other than the lack of hot sauce that used to be there. So yes, death and gore is mainly what I've covered. But don't get it mistaken, that's not all I care about, and I actually have a lot of positive things I could say about One Punch Man. There's a reason One Punch Man has been one of my favorite mangas for so long. There's a reason I could watch a show like Avatar, which basically has no death and gore, and still love it. There's a reason I still love Mob Psycho 100, another goreless manga. And there's so many more shows and manga, you know, well, maybe not manga, but there's so many other examples I could give you of things without death and gore that I still enjoy. And if you really want an extended list, reach out to me. I'll get right on it. But regardless, I think you're right, Tesla. I do need to add some diversity to the subject matter I discuss. Another guy in the comments, Hisatsu, actually just reminded me about this as well. He says, well, I've been too negative lately about stuff, including One Punch Man, so I figure that it's not doing me or anyone else any favors. So let's look at the positives instead. And he's right. Whether you like me or not, I think that Hisatsu's ability to self-reflect and stay positive is something that we can all admire. So shout out to him for holding it down. Thanks for being a bro, Hisatsu. I really appreciate it. And hopefully some of the other people watching do as well. So anyway, Tesla, Hisatsu, my promise to you both is that after I complete this video, I'm going to take a break from negative content for at least a little while. Cool it on the critiques, and work on some positive stuff. The next comment I want to talk about comes from Chess Dookie TikTok, who writes his stupid take on both YouTube and my Reddit post. He writes, well, you know what they say. If you don't like the way One and Murata wrote their story, then write your own. Watchmen, episode 4. I fucking hate this shitty saying, because its sole purpose is to invalidate a person's perspective by implying that since they don't write stories of their own, then they don't have a right to criticize someone else's. I feel that the only time this argument is actually applicable is when people criticize Murata for not meeting deadlines. When they complain about how long it's been since a new chapter release. It grinds my gears every time I hear this. Because not only does drawing take a massive amount of skill, but a massive amount of time as well. And the level of detail found within Murata's drawings is mind-blowing. His technical skill is on a level I can't even comprehend. Most of y'all ain't paying for these chapters, you read them for free online, just like me. So stop complaining about chapter delays, fuck a deadline. It can take me hours and hours to draw something way less detailed than a fucking filler panel found in One Punch Man. The only person who should really be pressed for not releasing a new chapter is George R.R. Martin. That dude has literally been slacking on the next Game of Thrones book for over a decade. But my video doesn't criticize the pace of chapter releases. I'm criticizing the effect that the lack of stakes is having on the quality of the story. And funny enough, I do write my own stories and draw my own characters. And I'm currently working on multiple stories to release to my channel in the future. And I'm not gonna lie, it's difficult, it's time consuming, but one of my goals in life is to make stories that I, and hopefully others, will enjoy. As a matter of fact, I had literally planned on releasing a video on a monster design I made, along with a rough outline of the story I plan on using it for, within the next few weeks. So, surprise, I guess. Thanks for ruining my reveal, you fucking douchebags. And ironically, this comment is essentially a criticism of my video, so I could just throw your stupid line back at you the same way you threw it at me. If you don't like my video, then make your own. I challenge you to at least attempt to make one, and see how it goes. I don't think you'll make one, but if you do, you'll have my respect, and I'll give you a shout-out video. Regardless of how shitty your video is, or how snarky and condescending you choose to be towards me. I really hate the notion that voicing complaints is a bad thing. Like, I'm at fault for expressing my actual opinion. That it's not good to not like something. Broken Chain 195 writes, "Oh boy, we have a yapper." A yapper? Like, for some reason I'm reading this in like a fucking accent from the Midwest, like fucking Sarah Palin or some shit. You know what you remind me of?
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Look at yourself. This is you. This is who you are. This guy wrote, "I enjoy this chapter. Why are people complaining?" Meso replied, "Because not everyone enjoyed it. I mean, you can't expect everyone to have the same opinion on something." Meso got downvoted. Not for agreeing with me or my video. No, he didn't express his own personal opinions on the chapter. He was downvoted for simply acknowledging the notion that not everyone is going to have the same positive point of view like the majority of fans will. The same hostility can be observed even when someone with an opposing view is stating facts. Constant Signal 6789 wrote, "This is like saying water is wet. Humans don't die in One Punch Man, only the monsters that get brutally slaughtered." This is untrue. So I wrote, "Untrue. Watch my video on Tank Top Master or the Narinki Squad. Many humans die in One Punch Man." And of course, I'm downvoted once again. Because the babies are not concerned about what's correct, they're only concerned about bringing me down. Another thing that I've been hearing since I made my first video is that I unjustly blame Murata for my issues with the manga. A lot of people seem to be certain that Murata has nothing to do with the manga's narrative direction, but I'm not fully convinced. But regardless of if I blame one or Murata, the purpose of my video is to discuss the content of the manga. Me blaming the wrong person does not change what I present in my video. My problems with the manga remain the same.
But considering I titled my video, Murata lost his balls,
this issue naturally came up again. Room Pockets wrote, "People need to quit blaming Murata for the writing. The writing is done by one." Here's the reason I choose to blame Murata in my videos. At the end of some chapters, there are these notes, written by someone who I assume has more credibility than a random Redditor, but maybe not. Sometimes, these notes credit Murata for some of the decision making involving the storyteller. This is found at the end of chapter 164. Seems like Murata has decided to do a complete U-turn. This chapter replaces the old one that ended with Saitama and Garou sitting at a table. This is a complete narrative U-turn, and Murata is credited. The end of chapter 100 says, Murata is redrawing some of the older chapters that he or one weren't satisfied with, leaving it unclear as to who exactly was dissatisfied. End of chapter 125. Murata made some revisions to 122 and 123. The beginning of chapter 123 says, Murata wasn't satisfied. What was he not satisfied with? What change did he make? The omission of dialogue laying out specific abilities of Pig God. While this doesn't change the events of the chapter, it is dialogue heavy, leading me to believe that his input on what dialogue to include and exclude is present. Maybe the guy making these notes is misspeaking. Maybe he's flat out incorrect. I don't know, but I've been taking his word. But like I said before, I'm more inclined to believe him than some random Redditor. My other reason for blaming Murata is that in the webcomic, solely accredited to one, all the heavenly ninjas are dead. In the manga, drawn by Murata, they are not. Which leads me to believe that an outside influence, other than one, is at least partially responsible for this decision. So back to the comments, I asked this guy for evidence that Murata only draws and has no influence on the outcomes of the story or the dialogue, because as much as I enjoy blaming Murata, I'd redirect the blame to one if it turns out I'm completely incorrect. And of course, I get downvoted to oblivion for questioning the credibility of some random Redditor's facts. Eventually, someone posts some sort of evidence, which was a link to an interview that doesn't have any English subtitles. So once again, I'm forced to rely on the credibility of not only this clip, but also the translation provided by a random Redditor, again, at the top of the comments. The translation goes, Murata, One Punch Man is written without regarding one, right? Murata says, oh no, one teacher changed it. He changed it. So we consult with each other.
Oh, I see.
If this translation is correct, all it proves is that one is still involved in the decision making of the process for what goes down in the manga, but it does not prove that he is the only one deciding what happens. If anything, Murata saying, "we consult each other," implies that the story is a collaborative effort. And that's exactly what I say in my response. But of course, my response is downvoted again. And Varuz98 writes, "Core of the story is made by one. Since he's the author of characters and the story, Murata draws them and probably consults what would be the best depiction of the webcomic events." And I think he's probably right about this, I'm not disagreeing. And he goes, "Probably, Murata also asks questions and maybe even will throw a suggestion every now and then, but the story is by one. And if you say that it doesn't convince you, it shows how big of an ignorant you are." Yeah, I'm still not convinced that it was one's decision to keep the Heavenly Ninjas alive, considering they're all dead in the webcomic. But I didn't respond like that, because I was dwelling on his shitty grammar. So I wrote, "How big of an ignorant I am. You just show me how much of a stupid you are." I mean, it makes me laugh, but whatever. In hindsight, I realized that English may not be this individual's first language, and it's not cool to dismiss someone's perspective just because they can't perfectly articulate their thoughts. But then he writes, "It really makes me wonder why it's so hard for you to admit that maybe you were wrong. Do you think admitting being wrong is a crime of some sort? Do you think people will ridicule you because you once made a mistake? Or is it an ego thing, and you will never admit you were wrong because you cannot comprehend a thought of being wrong?" And so I felt like he just wasn't understanding what the difference between Murata saying, "I'm not the only one responsible for the narrative," and "one is the only person responsible for the narrative." There are two completely different concepts. And also this line, "Do you think people will ridicule you because you once made a mistake?" Well, I'm actively being ridiculed for correcting mistakes, so yeah, I fucking do. But I kinda got lazy and hurled a half-ass insult, and this one I'm not too proud of. It didn't really flow. And I don't think the issue with this guy is that he's too much of a fanboy. I think he just isn't too good with language, so I do kind of feel bad, so I'm sorry about that. So then he says, "It's sad that not only you cannot change your mind with provided evidence, instead of providing constructive counter-argument, you just reply with lame, unoriginal insults. I really hope you will change, for the sake of yourself, and yours, I presume, YouTube channel. Maybe one day you will see that people do not intend to attack and mock you. They try to talk with you. Good day to you. Well, the evidence provided was incomplete. Why would I change my mind? And people don't intend to attack and mock me? Potential language barriers aside, have you not been reading any of the other comments?" Boring Variation 154 writes, "Trash YouTube video. Thanks for the notes. I'll work on that." VQ Gabondi. VQ Gabondi. VQ Gabondi. VQ Gabondi commented, "Oh, shut the fuck up already. Thanks for talking with me, VQ Gabondi." Next up is a fun one. This guy tells me, "This is such a fucking beta male thing to complain about. Get a life." Wow, so it turns out, voicing complaints indicates you have no life. Huh. Maybe that's why the citizens of North Korea are flourishing as much as they are. This comment was pretty simple-minded, so I tried to speak to him on his level. I wrote, "Go suck Murata's balls if you can find them." But to my surprise, he followed up with a real zinger, and showed me what being an alpha is all about. Shut up, man. His words were both witty and powerful, and they really rocked me to my core. So nice job, Malik. Well done. Then this dude wrote, "So true." And I think he's actually agreeing with Malik's original comment, but since he didn't specify which one of us he was supporting, he found himself in between the crossfire and me and the swarm of babies and got a bunch of downvotes. Because when babies are in a hysterical frenzy, they are unable to put things into context and will attack anything that resembles a target. Speaking of extreme responses, let's talk about what I consider to be the most malicious response. Like I'd mentioned earlier, someone reached out to Reddit Care Resources, so I got this message. I think the message they were trying to convey here is not one of genuine concern. I think what they were trying to say is that my video is so pathetic that it can be interpreted as a call for help. It's hard for me to put my finger on exactly why this feels like it crossed the line, because like I said, it did make me laugh a little bit. It's sort of like the same way no one cares if you kill people in Grand Theft Auto, but if these people were kids, that would cross the line. It's hard to articulate why, but you just sort of know it's not cool. It reminds me of a comment someone wrote in my Last of Us video.
He says, not only is it a bad concept, you haven't done any research for the video, you're just swearing and acting outraged and completely completely reasonable things which just make you sound autistic. I think he meant whatever. This was uncomfortable to watch, like the weird kid in school doing a presentation on why Sonic's arms aren't blue.
Firstly, I don't think it's cool to try to diminish someone else's opinion based on how insignificant you think their topic of discussion is. When I saw this, the first thing I thought was, Sonic arms aren't the same color as his body? That's sort of weird. I wonder why they did that. I'd listen to that presentation. Secondly, insult me all you want. Leave people with disabilities and mental health issues out of it. And by the way, your analogy's stupid. Unlike a kid in a classroom, you're not being forced to listen to my video. You clicked on it, sat there, and listened to the whole damn thing. So to everyone out there, don't be like this guy. Don't put other people down because of something out of their control. People don't choose to be autistic. People don't choose depression. Don't fuck with them. Come on. So to sum this all up, in my opinion, it's interactions like this where I feel like banning someone may be an acceptable course of action to take. Because I'm just not cool with fucking with people with disabilities. That's my line. That's where I draw the line personally. On the other hand, while I don't appreciate comments like Malik's and boring variations, I don't think that they necessarily cross that line, at least not for me. I feel like since I'm putting myself out there on the internet, comments like these are to be expected. I'm all about free speech. My First Amendment right, fuck yeah, let's go. They should have the right to express how they feel, just as I should. But if I'm going to be verbally attacked and the people attacking me are being supported by the community, I think that I should have a right to jab back at them. So while the One Punch Man community daycare was successful at tanking my Reddit karma and causing enough of a stir to get me kicked, they were unable to damage what actually matters to me. My faith in myself, my opinions,
and the people who chose to support me. While this video is mainly dedicated to negativity, I did receive a lot of positive comments, and I just want you guys to know that your support was definitely acknowledged and appreciated. I appreciate all of you so much. Thanks, guys. And finally, if you're into Reddit and don't like the state of this subreddit, there's this other group that I got invited to join. It's called OPM Folk. And while they also removed my video after a certain amount of time, at least over there, I wasn't berated and ostracized in the comments. I'm probably going to stop posting to Reddit from now on though, because it seems a little too strict for me. This whole thing has been a stupid ordeal, and I think Reddit, honestly, it just seems like they got a stick up their ass. I need to run wild and free, like a seahorse or a cow. And so yeah, Reddit, I guess you can go fuck yourself. I would say it with a little more energy, but I just don't care that much to be honest. And let me know if you think that I deserve the ban or not. If you think my ban was deserved, let me know why in the comments. And if you don't and you think it was bullshit, you know what? Why not? Why not complain to the moderators? Go and email your local moderator and let them know how offended and repulsed you are. This was fun. Thanks for the comments, guys.